The following show and its content are the responsibility of the show's producers and participants.
Information related in this program is not meant to substitute medical recommendations. Before starting a treatment program, you should consult your physician.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
All right, welcome to Couch Live here on Rock 100 DIZ, WJHM 102 Jams, and our new home, and of course, our permanent home, right? We're going to call this our home base.
There you go.
Is WPSN99.com.
As long as Irma doesn't kill us all.
It's not.
We're
What do you
good
mean?
so far.
It's not going to kill. There's no death here. There's no. We're in New Smyrna Beach. We're very fortunate. So we'll be doing a little update. Obviously, last week got a little affected, right? We weren't able to do everything that we had planned. Recovery Month, got affected. So we'll be talking about this. September is National Recovery Month. See that? Boom, boom, boom. Got a camera somewhere. But that got all jumbled up. So all the UCF events, our Couch Live on Campus got affected and canceled. Our Recovery Walk this Saturday got affected and canceled. So anyway, I am the street certified dope Dr. Louis Delgado. Welcome in, of course, our friends, our cast of friends, same guys. Of course, it's the Dharma Guy here, Trinity Phillips.
Hey,
Right,
hey.
Trinity?
What's going on?
Look at you. See, this is the thing. You guys are never going to know which camera is actually on. So you're always going to be looking at the wrong camera because none of the cameras have that little red light.
Yeah, they all
Like in television world.
That's the
Same
blue light.
Yeah, but in television world, it's little, the red light goes on and oh, this camera over here. Oh, this camera over here. But in this little itty-bitty camera world, this social media camera world, they're all just always blue.
So just look somewhere in the middle is what I'm hearing.
Nah, just assume that you're looking at the right camera. I will try to get you as best as possible.
Assume you're being watched at all times.
Exactly.
Very, very good, John. And let me introduce John Chuter from Retreat.
Thank you.
Retreat Premier Addiction Treatment Centers.
That's great.
Right?
Thank you.
It's
thank
very
you.
specific because there's another retreat,
There is.
but that's the wrong retreat.
That's the wrong one.
You're the right retreat.
Thank you. Yeah, well, it's a
Retreat
pleasure.
Premier.
Thank you. And it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank
and
you
you
very
know
much.
we're big fans of you guys and big supporters of everything you do.
Yeah.
Not only on the show, but with your foundation as well. So
Thank you very much.
thank
Well, you're on the board. Look,
Look at that.
you're on the banner.
Mm.
What do you think about that?
Very proud. What can I
That's
say?
right. That's because you guys are a major supporter and a sponsor of not only Surf Monkey Media's the Problem Solving Network, but like you
Right.
said, also the Now Matters More Foundation and everything
No,
else we do.
absolutely.
So thank you for contributing to WPSN99.com so we could do the Couch Live.
It's a pleasure.
So-
Thank you.
And then, of course, our expert intern, the Grasshopper Robbie Barrett.
One and
This
only.
one right here,
Oh.
Robbie. There you go,
What's up,
right there.
guys?
Look at you. There you go. And what are you doing?
I'm checking to make sure the stream is up and running.
Okay, and so we're still getting used to our new studios. We're still trying to figure this out. What's weird is our old studio where we usually broadcast from. I just did a little piece for them right now. They have no power.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
So here we are at the beach, at New Smyrna Beach. We have power. But you go inland to Seminole County, and 21% of Seminole County is still out of power. Do you have power, John, where you're at?
Got it back yesterday.
Yeah.
Vero Beach.
Vero Beach.
Which my home. Yeah.
So you guys got it hit worse.
Right.
And you...
I'm wet.
You're wet. You're wet?
I'm not wet.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you were wet.
Wet.
Well, I can't understand. You have this accent thing.
Yeah, I've got a
Can't you
dog
just have
accent.
like a Mexican accent so I can understand you? This
I thought
British.
I'd lost
Let me
my
tell you something.
accent.
If I
I've
start
been
watching a
working hard.
movie and it's more
Right.
than one of you in one movie, I must admit I can't watch it.
No?
One Brit at a time.
Subtitles.
Yeah, unless it's the Rolling Stones, and then I can watch anything they put out.
Right, okay. Now, what I was going to say is obviously where our facility is down south. That got really pounded. But fortunately,
Right.
and luckily for us, Peter, our founder,
Yeah.
he doesn't do things by half measures.
Right. That's
So,
good.
A year and a half ago when he built that place, it's like a fortress.
Like a fortune.
Nice.
So we've
And
got
it is.
industrial level generators, hurricane impact glass everywhere.
Really?
Yeah, and I mean it was an operation, a military operation to get through it. And
Right.
I wasn't there, so I can't take any credit for it. But the wonderful team did a great job. So for our patients, it was really like treatment as usual.
Right. So you mean the business development department did not have to come down and help out?
I didn't get the call.
Aren't you fortunate? That's the beautiful part of your part of the job.
Right.
You know,
Although-
because you could say, I got to go to Kentucky. I
say that.
got to go to
I
California.
don't say that very often, but I could say that.
Yeah.
But I would have probably been better off
At the
at
fortress.
the facility. Exactly.
Right.
When-
Right. So how did your house do? Because you're in Vero
No,
Beach.
it's fine. It was fine. It was just like everyone else. We lost power. So,
Okay, that's it.
and that's and we're not like everyone else because a lot of people are a lot worse. That's
Yes,
what we
a lot
always
worse,
have
yeah.
to remember.
Right.
And then the unfolding few days was.
Right.
I think it seemed like the start of a Stephen King apocalyptic movie.
Yeah, people
When
were pretty
things
freaked out.
started- Yeah,
Mhm.
and as each day goes by,
Right.
people got a little bit more tense, and it shows
Right.
how much we take for granted.
Right.
Things that we have around us. But we all got, most of us hope we got through it.
Yeah.
And forward we go.
I was talking to a man at the fishing pier before this, and he said that in Naples they're not going to have power till October 3rd.
You're kidding.
No, he said his son has a house in Naples, and October 3rd is when they're supposed to get power back.
That's their timeline, October 3rd?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Well, that's kind of a weird timeline. October 3rd.
And very specific.
Yeah,
That is very
Yeah.
specific. They couldn't even tell me they were going to have it like
Exactly.
yesterday. And
Exactly.
a lot of people, like you said, did have it worse. Even a lot of treatment centers evacuated. So it was good to
Right.
hear the retreat didn't have to
Right.
evacuate.
Right. And as I say, I think that's because of the size of the place and the fact it was built without compromise only a year and a half ago.
Right.
So everything's state of the art, best kind of hurricane-proof materials, and
Right.
yeah. So that's how we got through that one.
Right.
Definitely already have enough on your mind when you're in treatment, rather than having to worry about the hurricanes.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, imagine having your child down here in Florida. I mean, you probably got a lot of phone calls from parents saying, "Are you
Right.
sure that my
Right.
loved one is safe?"
Right, exactly. And obviously for us it's very simple because we can reassure them.
No.
You've been there as well. It's in a very safe place.
It's a
as well.
brand new building.
Security-wise,
it's
we've got
thick.
it covered. So,
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
we're fortunate.
I mean, realistically, you guys could have opened up that gymnasium as a place
Shelter.
for other people, as a shelter.
Right.
I mean,
right.
you guys have
And
that kind of
actually-
compound.
Right. I believe some of the staff stayed
Oh,
in that area as well,
wow,
who
very
were
nice.
making sure everything was business as usual, or treatment as usual.
Right.
The staff were in there as well. So,
Right.
So,
It's really hard for people to focus on their recovery during that week. That week was a little bit hard for people to be focused. Well, this week, really.
right.
The beginning of this week.
Right.
It's just been hard for people to even focus
Right.
on
Well,
on what
life,
they're doing.
regular
Right.
day-to-day life. So that's why I say in some ways within our facility,
Right.
it was treatment as usual.
Right.
So obviously the hurricane was coming, everyone knew it, and everyone was concerned about it rightly. But we managed to get through it and keep things kind of flowing. And,
Right.
Obviously, we've got all the therapists there, so if people are feeling more anxiety or stress,
Now-
once again, it's the best place for them to be.
Right. Now, Retreat Premier has a detox facility there on site.
Yeah.
So here's what I was thinking, John. I was thinking, what happens to all the people? It was hard enough to get lumber, water, gasoline.
Right.
Was it just as hard to get opiates? I mean, was it like one of those moments where you started saying, crap, my dealer just went up to Georgia. So now what?
I think and they find a way in active addiction.
Well, they've got backups.
Yeah, there's
Right.
plenty of ways.
I've never went through a hurricane when I was in active addiction.
Right?
And plus, I was a supplier anyway, so
You're right.
I was fine.
Yeah.
But the people that weren't, I'm just thinking about them going, oh crap.
Right. So you're right. So it wasn't only the bread and water in Publix that was not in supply.
Yeah, drugs probably ran out. Or you had to like go into detox. I was thinking that you were getting calls last minute that said, "Hey, it's not gonna feel good in a little bit. Can I get into detox?"
Now's the time.
Yeah, now's the time.
Well, if it gets them there,
Whatever it takes, right?
yes.
Whatever. I was just imagining, like when they showed the real long line all the way up 95 North was just a long line of people trying to get out of Dodge, get out of South Florida.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just thinking how many people started detoxing on the way up there, going through withdrawals.
Right.
I guarantee a lot of people
Yes,
started going through
you're
withdrawals
right.
on that drive.
Right.
And the misery
Right.
that some of them
Because
were
when it takes
experiencing.
15 hours rather than whatever, 3
Right.
to wherever they think they can get
Right.
to.
Here's what we didn't hear. We didn't hear were there any overdoses on the freeway. We didn't hear any of those stories.
No.
I was expecting at least one overdose story,
Right.
on that drive up.
I didn't hear
Yeah.
anything.
I was expecting to hear some stories of people in withdrawals that required emergency,
Right.
services,
Right.
because they wouldn't know what's going on with
Right.
them, sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
Didn't hear any of those kinds of stories. But then again, you don't hear a lot of addiction recovery stories unless someone dies anyway.
Right.
So
Right.
if there was a survival, it probably wouldn't have been newsworthy. And they were busy, like out there. You saw that guy in the rain, kind of like fighting with the
What?
hurricane in Naples.
Well, on CNN.
Yeah.
Yeah, on all of them. They put these guys on there, like any news channel or
It's
any
like,
channel you
yeah.
watch.
They're
Just-
10 foot from a comfortable room where they could broadcast.
Yeah.
Right.
They couldn't. They have to kind of.
the power of the boss. The boss says, "You don't understand. You got to get the money shot." And the money shot is you
Yes.
standing outside
Yes.
in the hurricane.
Yes.
But hey, that's how they make their mark, right? That's how you know you're the low person on the totem pole. When they tell you to stand
Yeah.
outside and get the shot.
Right.
Because I was wondering, like, that is not somewhere you'd want to be.
Where it shows like the wind speed, it's like 125
Right.
miles an
Yeah,
hour,
the
and they're like
guy-
struggling to stand
Right.
up. It's really bad out here, Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys should,
Exactly.
they're trying to tell us not to be outside. And I'm thinking, what makes you more of a
John
professional?
John Berman of CNN, he was on that dock.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, the whole time.
Right.
He seemed to be moving around.
He's now
He
famous.
was there.
He became
It's
famous
like-
from that.
Yes.
They
Yes.
keep replaying his stance.
Yes. Wow.
So it's good to hear that Retreat went through it well. I know a lot of other treatment. And like I said, some of them evacuated and went to.
Right.
You know what was good is I heard of other treatment centers opening up their doors for other treatment centers.
Right.
Did any treatment centers contact Retreat that you know of?
I
That,
think there were a few in the area that
Right.
were struggling, and
Right.
they knew what we had.
Awesome.
So that's and also obviously we have Lancaster County
Right.
facilities as well.
right.
So we could actually, if in the days prior
Right.
to the hurricane coming, because on this one we all got good warning, didn't we?
Right.
yeah.
It's
Right.
literally
Plenty. of
Last
warning.
Monday, at least a week ago, it started.
Right.
So everyone knew what was happening, and probably, because of the Texas situation, like they say, that probably was like got everyone's attention. So
Right.
I think, but because of that, we could, we had the ability to direct patients up to Pennsylvania prior to that. If we thought that was the better thing to do.
Right.
So,
Right.
and even with to make room with our admissions department, we put them up in Pennsylvania
Nice.
because you never know how bad it's going to be. And
Right.
even though that structure, we know the patients were going to be safe within the structure. Outside of that, who knows?
Correct. And what you didn't know is the communications. Yeah, you
Right.
guys need to constantly be online because people are
Right.
still needing help all around the country. See,
Right.
we were so focused on this hurricane, and a lot of people that had loved ones in this area were focused on it.
Right.
But we forget there was a whole world still
Absolutely.
going on.
Right.
Like there's people listening to the show right now
Right.
that they're like, "What are you
Right.
talking about?"
Right. Yeah.
They're not Irma educated.
No, they're seeing the guy on
Yeah.
CNN for 5 minutes and then going off and getting on with their
Right.
So,
Yeah, there was still football on Sunday.
Yes.
You
Yeah,
know,
don't remind me.
The first game of the season,
Right.
and all of us are interrupted by what was
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
Right? Some people were still bragging about being able to watch the Dallas game. For some reason, my cable network thing, Spectrum, for some reason didn't want to show the Dallas game. Instead, I was watching the guy on the dock. The whole time. 7 a.m. in the morning, man, lost power. We almost made it through.
wow.
We almost made it through, John. Almost made it all the way through. 7 a.m., 1 hour left of the darn storm. 1 hour left. The storm had
On
already
Monday.
passed
On
on Monday morning.
Oh no.
Storm had already passed. Dana and I just looked at each other and says, "Man, we made it."
Right.
Boom, went out.
Right.
God and a sense of humor. Right then and there, man. It happened. So, I mean, it was not very comfortable, that part. But anyway, what about you, Robbie? How'd the Grasshopper's house do?
Well, my apartment downtown was fine. We lost power, so me and my
Mhm.
girlfriend went over to my parents' house. And like 12:30 in the morning, we heard like this giant crash and didn't know what it was. So
Right.
this oak tree fell on our house. We didn't lose power though.
Wow.
Wait a minute,
Yeah.
you had an oak tree fall in your house, but you don't lose power?
Yeah, isn't that so weird?
Wow.
A
Yeah.
big oak?
A giant mature oak tree fell on the roof, and the roof started pouring water. My grandma was in there, and she wanted to like continue sleeping in the room, which was like, nuts. But
Old people are just stubborn as hell.
yeah, she didn't want to move. Her
Storms really show you how stubborn they are.
Yeah.
Right.
We're putting tarps down everywhere, buckets, and she's like, "No, I'm
There-
not moving."
There's not one elderly person that I tried to help during this storm that wanted to budge.
Right.
All of them are exactly, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to go shopping. I'm like, really? You know there's a hurricane coming. I'm good.
It's like
I'm stocked up on Pepsi. My mother-in-law had Coke or Pepsi, whatever she
Right.
drinks. One drinks one of those. And she's like, I got plenty of that. I'm thinking, that's not water.
No, and it's warm. Then you can really taste what it tastes like.
She's still out of power, bro.
That's my favorite part.
She's still out of power.
That's my favorite
Clear
part
water.
is all these people who are out there fighting for water.
Right.
On a regular day, you have maybe one sip of
Right.
water. Like, come on,
Right.
let's not act like you don't drink nothing but coffee and energy drinks every day.
Right.
But you
right.
need water for coffee.
Yeah.
You know, you need that, Trinity. Look at that. All right. So anyway, what about your house, Trinity? Did you have an oak tree fall on your
I
house?
did not have an oak tree. No.
You had some other damage, though, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, my fence is finally destroyed. I think you and I are in the same boat in the sense that we both had a privacy fence that we were kind of holding together with
Right.
bubble gum and tape, basically. That's finally gone. It actually snapped it in half, and then I got some roof damage where it's actually leaking a little bit.
Yeah.
So I've been frantically trying to get insurance to get out there and kind of tarp it up and start trying to replace it. My mother's house. Everybody at this point has probably seen the pictures of the video. There's massive. I don't know if it was an oak or not, but there's a massive tree that kind of came through the condo right above hers and went into the awning and did a lot of damage.
That was a crazy picture.
Yeah. Thankfully, hers is the one right below it, so she didn't get any damage. And actually, the people who were living in that one, nothing happened. It was just the cosmetic stuff in the front.
Right.
So it didn't actually go into their living room or anything.
Yeah, it went through that front awning.
Yeah, it was
thing.
weird. It was they literally by like a foot. It missed everything that needed to miss. And they actually came up pretty quickly. They were out there. I think it was yesterday. They cut it all up and took care of it. And
So it's done. It's gone.
it's gone. Yeah. Damage is still there. It needs to be replaced. And of course, everybody is all wanting theirs fixed right now.
Right.
They
Well,
don't
I mean, everybody.
seem to understand that there's but only so many people that can get to it at any given moment. But I mean, at the end of the day, man, everybody's alive. Nobody got hurt, so that's what really
It
matters.
could have been a lot worse than
Yeah.
it was.
so much.
Absolutely.
And your oak didn't. This
No.
water that's coming in. What's going on with your roof now? Then are you leaking too?
No. Well, it poured yesterday, and I guess it was leaking there, but I was back downtown, so
So you don't know if it's.
yeah. It's still leaking, but it's not. It looks like it's.
So we got
fine.
2 roofs that need to be repaired.
No,
Right.
just that. Yeah. Trinity's. And,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. All right. That's right. We got that handled.
Yeah.
We got that
But
covered.
one other thing I heard, and this is because obviously people have got damage, got disruption, resources. It costs money.
Lots.
If you have a mortgage on your house, and we called up our mortgage company.
Uh-huh.
If you're in a designated FEMA disaster area, which pretty much we all are down here,
Right.
it's a federal law that means your lender is obliged to give you, I think they call it forbearment. And basically what that means is, and depending on who your lender is, it's a couple of people we know got 3 months
Yeah,
cut.
they put it on the back of
They
it.
can put it on the cut without any without any penalty, no change to the credit. Now our company, we called them up and they were like, "Well, so I don't think they have to do that. The full, we can give you 3 months and just chuck it on the end." But some banks, lenders will do that.
Interesting.
So you basically what that means is you won't have a mortgage for the next 3 months. I mean,
You pay that for repairs.
yeah, but so it's worth looking into. Because
Wow.
1 month. I mean,
I had no idea.
Yeah. So that's
I might just do that just for fun. No, I'm not going to do that.
well, you
That's
wanna
great.
take
That's
it-
great information. I haven't heard. See, John, that's the kind of information that people need to know.
Right, and
That's useful stuff.
in fact, it was via some social media thing that
Right.
got out there because I'm sure probably a lot of them are not publishing that.
Right.
They're not
Yeah,
telling.
why
them,
would you?
Not
No,
come to
yeah.
us and
Yeah,
we'll
why
give you.
would you?
Yeah, and like you say, but why wouldn't you? It's like I don't think it's taking advantage of it because
No.
it's a bank
Right.
with your mortgage.
Right.
It's not like you're taking that from any other people, or you're not. Yeah, you're taking relief that you shouldn't be
Right,
having, and
of course.
because if you don't take it, someone else, everyone's
Right.
entitled to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone should be able to get help right now, some sort of relief, because the anxiety that a lot of people are having right now, because it cost us. I mean, I'm just one household, and I know how much our household spent extra just in preparation
before you even know,
just to cover the windows,
without any damage.
Right. And we spent, and you don't recoup that.
No.
You just simply say, well, let's save all these things, put them in the garage and save them, so I don't have to buy them again. No. Because who knows, this is only the second time we've ever boarded up, and the first time, I had a friend help board up, and we just boarded up with whatever, and we didn't keep any of it, right? Didn't do it like the way I would like it to be done anyway. Right. But this time, I used polycarbonate.
Nice.
Ooh. Yeah, you had the good stuff.
Brother, you could see through it. We still had light.
Wow. Ah, that's good.
Because even though I like it dark, it's a different vibe and energy.
Yes.
To go on with your life.
Yes.
And handle life normal when you can still see outside. Kind of. In other words, light is still coming in. Yeah. But when it's all dark, when you're all closed in and behind wood, I can imagine what some of the attitudes and moods would get like. And I got 3 women in my house. I was looking for anything that can keep the mood and attitude good. Because once Wi-Fi goes and internet goes, that's all I heard is, when are we going to get internet back? When we get Wi-Fi back? Everybody's hotspotting it. My daughters didn't know anything about that mortgage thing, but they knew that AT&T offered free something about the internet. You're allowed to use Wi-Fi free. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They knew that.
And if they find out about the mortgage thing, you're going to have to buy them a new phone.
They wouldn't even care.
That's what that money would be used for, to get them.
Well, the new iPhone X.
I don't even think they care how to even spell mortgage.
But when they find out that it's going to give you more money in your pocket, they're going to
Well, maybe. No, they think Dad has unlimited funds. Are you kidding me? I don't think they even understand that. They just because it's like, I made it way too easy, John. But they're daughters. I said I was going to be tougher, but when it's daughters,
there you go.
I did the same thing everybody else does, John. It's like whatever you want, baby. It doesn't matter. If it was sons, man, this would be so much easier. I don't know. Anyway, so hopefully the tree's off your house, though? Your grandma's house?
The tree's off, so.
All right, so the tree's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Holes left. A lot of little holes. And then tree. So everybody here did well.
Yeah.
All right. That's good. And for all those that are listening and don't know, why a recovery show is not talking that kind of recovery. We're talking about storm recovery. but it's because it was so, if you're in Florida, that was a big effect, a big issue. And even today, I've been getting phone calls from other treatment centers and people just let us know they're open.
Right.
Because typically we refer to these treatment centers. So places like Retreat are still wanting to get the word out there that says, look, if you are a loved one, still requires help today, just like you did before the storm or whatever. Don't think that it's not business as usual. People still need to be in recovery today. And there's a lot of things that can still happen. Just because you may not have power doesn't mean that addict in your life is still not struggling and still not on the verge of an overdose, because we still probably had the same amount of overdoses nationally as we normally do. We're just real focused on the storm.
Right.
We still have 140 a day happening nationally.
As you said, the stress levels are rising, and that's not good either for anyone. But, yeah.
And it gives you an excuse to relapse to some people. Some people that are already on that edge.
Right. Well, I'm sorry. Like I still, like you, I didn't have power all the way to 7, but I had power to about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Right. And all I kept seeing was hurricane parties and people got their whiskeys ready and everything. I'm like, wow, all right.
I passed the guy in the supermarket. I had the 2 cartons of water that everybody's supposed to get, right? He had his 2 cartons of water, but then he had 16 12-packs. Right. And I go, priorities. And he goes, damn right.
Well, yeah, on Monday.
Cut and dry for him.
When we didn't have power on Monday, we left the house just to kind of go, once the curfew was lifted, just cabin fever, just get out of the house.
Right.
And while we were out, we were just trying to see what was open. And there was, of course, lines everywhere that was open. But we ended up finding a Walmart grocery store.
Right.
So we went in there, and most of the shelves were bare. And there was 3 or 4 people in line in front of us getting ready to check out. And most people had food, things of that nature, stuff to eat right then. The only thing that guy had in his shopping cart was a bunch of Corona. That's it.
Priorities, man.
It's like, wow, okay. Good luck, I guess.
I'm telling you, gas, electric, water, drugs. I mean, there was people that were making sure they had their alcohol or they had their drugs because when the stores were going to close and you're sitting home all day, and you got a drinking problem, what else are you going to do? Of course you need alcohol. You need enough alcohol to survive it.
Yeah.
That could be a whole week where you don't have to go to work.
Right.
Yep.
You're just sitting back, and there's no football to distract you. What are you doing? And you can't just tinker around.
Yeah.
It's like, there's a lot of people that are just like sitting there, just moody, and they have to communicate with somebody they probably are not communicating well with at the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Because when you're at the end stages of your addiction and things are going really bad, the relationship's already so strained.
Right. And you're avoiding people.
Yeah.
And suddenly,
What are you supposed to talk about?
Yeah.
How do you sit down and play Monopoly with a bunch of people that you've been so high the last 2 years you haven't had any conversations with them, any meaningful ones?
Yeah.
That's pretty difficult.
Not only that, I know in my house alone, I mean, we all talk, but in my house alone, just, everybody was just irritated. Everybody was really, really hot,
Yeah.
and just, it was hot. Nobody had anything to distract them. I found myself putting together puzzles for The Incredibles.
Oh, nice.
I was trying to do something to take my mind, de-stress, I guess. But
And that's what you picked?
Yeah. I was doing puzzles.
Good.
But yeah, everybody was on edge. So I couldn't imagine if somebody in the house was like coming off of something.
That's what I'm saying.
It would have been 100 times worse.
Yeah, if you didn't buy enough cigarettes, and,
Right.
if you're a cigarette smoker, and instead of using your money to buy cigarettes, you had to buy wood to board up. I mean, because cigarettes are expensive, so to stock up for several days, when you're living paycheck to paycheck, is pretty serious. Same thing with alcohol, opiates, anything. I mean, there is a lot of moodiness that was happening in our space. So hopefully the calls start again, and hopefully people know treatment centers in Florida are open.
Right.
Treatment centers in Georgia are open.
Yeah.
Treatment centers in Tennessee are open. I know Journey Pure and Retreat are open, and that's what's important. Is people to know if you still need help today, don't think that just because it's Florida that we're all without power and it's going to be like that home and that nursing home.
Right.
That didn't happen at any recovery treatment center that we know of.
No, I have to say though, having been through countless hurricanes at this point, I'm very, very impressed with the power companies.
They did good, right?
How quickly? I mean, I was without power from like 4 in the morning until roughly like 6 o'clock that night, 7 o'clock that night.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, a massive storm came through. My whole entire place we had a flicker of power sometime in the afternoon, like 3, 4 o'clock, and then it came on completely. It hasn't been off since 6 o'clock that night. So I mean, I know when Charlie came through, I lost power completely for about 4 days. I know some people it was several weeks. I know there's certain parts of the further out counties that were a month, some of them.
Right.
So for pretty much everybody I know to get power back within a couple of days, I mean I mean, hats off to them, man. They did a great job.
Right.
I mean,
The whole system. I think the whole system.
Yeah.
I only saw one clip of someone yelling at an authority figure saying, that they didn't have water, they didn't have fuel, and I'm thinking, brother, they gave you so much warning.
Yeah.
They did so well with this. You cannot get mad at the system for anything on this one.
Right.
Nope.
They did phenomenal. The entire state did so well in preparation for this. I'm certain that's why the loss of life is so minimal.
Right.
And it's hard to see. God, man, how many people stayed at the Keys? You see how many people stayed?
Crazy.
It's like, are you out of your mind?
I would have left.
I can't imagine.
I would have been gone.
I have a friend, Yanez, my old roommate and one of my best friends from high school, and he was my roommate in California. The other Louis, as he's known. He's the other Louis.
I'm sure
I'm
he
the original
appreciates
Louis.
that.
No, he's the other Louis. He's maybe bigger and stronger, but I was first. He's younger. So he's a U.S. Customs agent that comes out of the helicopters. And he was reaching out to me, let me know that, hey, we're here. If you need anything, just let me know what happens, because we're here for that. That's what we're going to be doing. And they were staged in Tallahassee. They were waiting for the storm to pass so their helos show up. And then once their helos showed up, we saw them on the news. We saw the helos down in the Keys, and it was U.S. Customs, and that was him and his boys. And so it was good to see people that work in other parts of the country, like he's in El Paso, Texas, and come here in preparation. All that is because you don't have to like our governor, but you better give him a thumbs up because he did that.
Oh, yeah.
You don't
He
have
did
to
a
like
good
our
job.
president, but you better give a thumbs up because he did that. The United States government, the federal government, and our state government worked so well together and provided so many resources and help that it would have been nice to see more applause to them than just reporting how fast the winds were.
Right.
And how we don't have gas and how people still don't have power. How about giving props and giving some support
Yeah. No, he
to
was
the
on it.
government
Governor
officials?
was on it. He was on it.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying.
On it.
People complain all the time when things don't go well.
Right.
So I'm a firm believer of balance. So if you're going to complain when it doesn't go well, you got to give them some some respect for what they did right.
Stuff.
Absolutely.
They did a great job, dude. Like, I had power within, like, I literally lost at 4 o'clock. I had to go to sleep. It sucked. I was prepared to have no power for, like, several days.
Right.
This is my wife's first hurricane that she's gone through. And so she was asking me a lot of questions, and I was just like, man, just might as well sit tight and get, just relax, because it's going to be a while. And I was hoping, of course, that it wouldn't have been, but I really was preparing for at least 3 or 4 days.
Right.
And it came on quickly, and when we went out, I just saw power trucks everywhere.
Right.
I know there was like 16,000 of them came down from different places.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know what? You got to give them the respect, man. They did a great job. I mean, they really did.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah,
They were everywhere fast.
Yeah, absolutely.
They were everywhere
Very,
fast.
very happy with the way they handled everything.
Rick Scott, like last Monday, was on TV saying like prepare for the worst, and
Yeah.
and I mean you never really see good stuff about him. So I
No.
have seen a couple articles like throwing
Did you?
out, like
Throwing him a bone?
He is this, but he did a great job. Like,
That's a backhanded compliment.
You got to throw that in there.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to me, you look at it. I don't know much about him. I've never really followed Rick Scott. Don't know much about Rick Scott. I don't belong to either political party. I'm an independent, so I don't go blindly in that respect either. However, I was one of those when they started talking about this early. I was saying, it's because of Houston. We've been watching Houston for 7 to 10 days, so of course everybody's going to freak out about this monster because everybody's knows how underwater so many of our cities are. Miami was already flooding before the hurricane. Tampa was already flooding before the hurricane. So we had 2 cities already struggling with drainage issues before Irma.
And then you got this storm that's like 4 times the size
Correct.
of Harvey coming.
Yeah, and they kept comparing it to Andrew, which we know what Andrew did to South Florida and how that freaked them out for life.
Well, did you see the picture, though, of Andrew versus Irma?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
Andrew was like the size of the eye.
Yeah, wow. It was so
Right.
It's a massive
And
storm.
Charlie, which is the one that really got our area, was
same
only a
here.
Cat 2.
But by the time it got
But
to
it was... He came in and it was going fast. It was like 50, 70 miles an hour. It just came through real quick. So roof, and then left.
Yeah, no, my neighborhoods and everything else got way more damage when it came to Charlie.
Oh, Charlie destroyed
Charlie,
Orlando in Central Florida.
Yeah,
So I could see why people were freaking out, but I just was very hesitant. We talked about it, Trinity.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to jump on that bandwagon because I know the trajectories. We all know that trajectories change.
We're all junior meteorologists when it comes to the hurricane because we've been here for so long.
I just prefer, there's basic preparations and then there's final preparations.
Yeah.
Right.
The basic preparations, you should always have some sort of place that if you did have to evacuate your home, where's that going to be?
Yeah.
You should always have someone up north or a place up north that you already have in your mind.
Right.
Honey, if we evacuate kind of conversation, these are the things we take. These are the things that we secure. This is where we go. Boom. So you shouldn't have to be worried about that last minute. The other things are, you always know, let's get enough water and food. To be honest with you, we're in Florida. We should always have enough water and food. I think that all houses should have water and food prepared because we get tornadoes, we get thunderstorms, we get power outages already. We get a lot of different things here anyway. And during hurricane season, we know this is coming.
Yeah.
So every year during hurricane season, you should stock up in advance so you don't do this runaround. Same thing with gas cans. Fill up to my recommendation, always have 2 gas cans filled up and your generator ready if you have a generator when it comes to hurricane season. That way you're not one of those people that are getting so uptight about this whole situation at the end. Because that anxiety to me is much more damaging.
It was crazy, though.
To some.
Like I said, you and I talked about it. I've been through, I don't know how long you guys have been around in Florida or not, but
It's here for like Charlie and all that.
okay, well, I've been here for roughly 30 years, man. So I've been through quite a few different hurricanes. Some big, some small. And never before, and I think like you said, it was maybe because of the Houston thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Never before have I seen them go so frantic. I mean, everybody was just crazy this time around. And I was getting, they were so crazy, even I had to stop and think, well, wait a minute, am I the crazy one for a minute? Hold on. Because I kept having to just check myself to make sure that I'm not just too, downtrodden, I guess, about it. But, and my wife, even, she would go to work, and this is her first one, so she hears me telling her, hey, it's going to be fine. We're far enough inland, blah, blah, blah. Then she goes to work, and everybody's losing their mind, and she sees people on TV, and she's like, are you sure? I promise, man. And sure, thankfully I was right. But, yeah, it was just weird. I think it was because of the Houston thing. I think people were just associated with that, and they just started panicking, and they forgot the last 30 years of history.
Well, look at the news coverage, man.
The news coverage was all
Houston. No, I mean before that, Houston has been on our news.
Yeah.
and they are still underwater.
Right.
Let's not forget Houston.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's not forget what Houston is still going through right now.
Yeah.
Houston is still underwater in many spots.
Mm-hmm.
Houston is still suffering right now.
Yeah.
And then it was getting overshadowed by this. So knowing that Houston is still suffering, and we were watching all that, it had people thinking, well, what about here?
Mm-hmm.
What if that were us? See, I have kayaks. I had my kayak. Look, because of Houston, my wife wouldn't even let me take my kayaks to my storage unit. I had to keep my kayaks in my garage.
Wow.
I'm thinking, I'm not going to need them.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, we're not in a flood zone, but the neighbors down below, maybe,
Yeah. Right.
you know, they're lower than us.
Well,
I'm
you
on
know,
like on a hill, and then I get to look down on them
Yeah.
as they're going help.
Our news
right?
coverage didn't do any better though. Our news coverage was all like, you had power just as long as I did for the most part. We
Right.
had the same.
Right.
I was watching. They're all like, "This is a serious." I mean, they're all like going crazy as well. Like they weren't doing anything.
But you see why now? Because so many don't take it serious,
yeah,
and they're getting blamed for it.
yeah,
Right.
Look, like I said, there's still people right now that are so frustrated at the power company, so frustrated at the cable company, so frustrated at the government that they can't get the help right now because they're getting wet.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, if it was raining a lot right now,
Yeah.
both of you would be in a lot different mood.
Oh, for sure.
You'd be very frustrated. If we were getting rain every day after this storm,
Yeah.
you'd be getting your belongings right now would be getting completely wet, and you'd be mad at FEMA and mad at the government for not giving you these tarps and coming out and tarping your place like they did after Charlie.
Sure.
You know, they were handing those things out like crazy. Roofers were everywhere after that. Well, right now we're not getting that sense of emergency. First of all, we don't have the same workforce that we did after Charlie.
Right.
Second of all, we're not the only ones. This is an entire state.
Right.
And Houston, and there's a lot of people that have relocated to Houston. All the storm chasers are still in Houston.
Yeah.
So you have a whole storm chaser community of construction guys that go chasing storms.
Mm-hmm.
They're all in Houston repairing stuff.
Yeah.
So it's one of these things that people have to really please be patient. If you're one of the ones that are still struggling and you're getting wet or you're feeling like nobody's listening, they are listening. They are taking care of stuff. It's just going to take a while.
You can go to
You know?
FEMA.
And you
FEMA's
can go to
website.
FEMA.
Their
You
FEMA
can go to
website.
FEMA.
You go there and fill out an
Right.
application online,
Right.
and they'll put you in their queue. I did it
Right.
myself for
Right.
my roof and everything. But at the moment, it just says pending because it's inaccessible. I guess
Right.
is what they're saying.
Probably.
But they are up and running. I mean, you can go to the website, fill it all out. You'll be in the queue. Call your insurance companies. Do what you got to do, man.
And
I
it's
mean,
a
a process.
And just know that there's people in South Florida that lost their entire house.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Still, yeah.
There's so many homes that lost their entire
Well, I think it was the Key
Especially the
West.
Keys.
Yeah, the Key West is like a fourth of the homes
the
that are gone.
Keys, Naples, Fort Myers,
Right.
parts of Miami and Homestead are still, struggling deeply. So we may be without power up here in some places. We may have, a limb here or a tree here. But when I look at that devastation down there and I see how many people really were, we still don't even know because a lot of those people have not gone home yet.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that stuff that it's unknown. That's why it's real important for you to jump in line. You need to call your insurance company now and let them know that they need to come check you out right now because all these adjusters that are here right now really need to be down in South Florida adjusting.
Oh yeah. Well, even my insurance company, man, I just got through to them today on the drive here. I
There you
kept
go.
calling
Wow.
and calling.
Wow.
They're just busy, and it kept, wait time 2 hours. Like,
Oh.
jeez, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I finally got through to them today on the drive here.
It's tough. Right? You're talking millions and millions of people. There's no way to prepare for that.
Right.
No.
You can't hire 1,000 new employees in a week
no.
and train them all how to handle phone calls in a week.
Yeah.
No.
And that's about how many they would need just to reduce that wait time 30 more minutes.
Well, not only that, but when you have all that, what do you do when it's over? Fire them all?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So,
It's like Christmas time.
Yeah.
You got to hire all the people that have seasonal jobs.
the Christmas casuals, man.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a real tough situation. But like I said, I kept thinking during the whole time, and that's why I wanted you to come in, John, and that's why I'm glad you came in. Let's not forget this, John Chuter from Retreat Premier Addiction Treatment Centers, is to let people know that it's business as usual in the recovery world because your loved ones are still going to be suffering that. I know you don't want to think about them right now, and some of them may be playing heroes right now. Don't worry about me. Let's just take care of the house. Let's just do this. But they're still struggling with their addiction in their recovery.
Right.
And it's real easy to forget or put that on the side right now. But because of the overdose deaths that are happening right now, we can't chance one day of people not going into treatment if they need it. Not one day.
Right.
And if it's hard to get your insurance company for your house, that leads me to another question. Is there a way to find out, John, that if it's been hard for you guys to check people's benefits during this time? Is that a different?
I don't think
It's a
that's
different
been-
phone line.
Yeah. So I don't think that's been affected.
Okay, so you would have heard about that.
Yeah, absolutely. We can still get access pretty much immediately. I don't know. As you know, they're all national companies now.
Right.
I don't even know how many of them are based in Florida.
Correct.
And so, yeah, I don't think that's been an issue.
Okay, so as far as we know, it's not been an issue. If you needed your insurance benefits checked to see if the admission can go through, it's not been an issue.
It's not an issue.
All right, and there's still beds.
And there's and even with as I said, what the hurricane did, as far as major roads, it didn't really mess up. You know, obviously at the time of the hurricane itself, whatever, down there from like Saturday, Sunday through here.
Right.
But pretty much immediately, transportation took a little longer, depending on where you're going, but it was available.
Right.
So once again, and we, with our transportation department, they were back out on the road on Monday. And just getting on with it.
So 95 is still working, the side streets are still working.
There were moments that you saw that it was clogged up and stuff, but generally, all the major, I think you said routes were, they were accessible. So
What about the airport that you guys use? What airport do you tend to use?
West Palm is very near, and I think I believe that was either Tuesday or Wednesday. And
Back
Fort
up?
Lauderdale back up.
Oh, okay.
I think Orlando here was similar.
Yeah, you have a lot of choices
Yes.
to go to your treatment center. You can use
Yeah.
Miami, you can use Fort Lauderdale, you can use West Palm,
Yes.
you can use Melbourne, you can use Orlando,
Right.
you can use Sanford.
Yep.
You have tons of choices.
Yeah.
So so the transportation is not going to be an issue if people need to go.
No, absolutely.
All right. So let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk a little bit more about John. You know, I want because now that I have you on, because you try to avoid being on the air. You know, Tom Garofalo.
Right.
I didn't say his name wrong. See, I said it right.
That's good. I like
Tom Garofalo is usually the guy that would come on our show.
Great guest, by the way.
Represent. He's awesome, by the way.
Great guest.
Tom and I, what was he? Is he up in Cape Cod still, or because Cape Cod we were having that conference?
Yes.
And so a lot of us aren't up there because of what was happening here, and a lot of people went up there because of what was happening here. We're going to go to Cape Cod. They go,
people.
I'm going to a conference.
People were like, can't wait to get to that conference.
Good time for that conference, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Better than Moments of Change. If that was happening at the same time, would have killed it.
Well, obviously that was evacuated Palm Beach, wasn't it? They were off.
Gone.
Which is
So let's talk about John, because John, I like to mess with him because of his accent, because he's a Brit. He's got this. It's one of those accents that everybody automatically thinks you're smarter, right? Like you have a Spanish. If you have a Spanish accent, well, no, maybe not you, but in our world, in the American world, if you have like a Mexican accent, people don't think, oh, he's smarter.
Right.
But when you have an English accent, and it could be from the dumbest part of England.
Yes.
It could be from the poorest, lowest part of it. But for some reason here we think, wow,
it's
you must be smart. You guys know that, right? You guys know that we just think you're all smart people because of the way you talk, right?
I don't think it's. I think when you live here, you realize that more.
Right. That you guys have that stereotype.
I think it's the enunciation, man. I just think it's the not only the enunciation, but you guys actually pronounce every letter the way it was intended to be pronounced. Whereas as Americans, oftentimes it's a bastardized language, but they kind of like don't really utilize it the way it was meant to be utilized.
Right.
And so when you hear somebody speak correctly, it's very interesting. I know for me personally,
I think the bottom line is really it's just different.
Sure.
But then culturally, how we put the values on that. But that goes into we react to different things.
Right.
So that's where prejudice comes from as well.
Right.
So even if, like, for me, they might think, like you said here, if you've got a Mexican accent, maybe for whatever reason, people are gonna. But it's the same everywhere. In the UK, there's certain accents within the UK. It's the same thing.
Right.
That as a rule, depending where you're from, there's some kind of underlying kind of judgmental thing going on that is based on probably nothing, but other than history, probably, or something that happened in, historically.
Right.
But that's how people judge it. So it's definitely. I understand. I mean, I always find you're talking about. I'm amazed at the amount of British or Australian actors.
Right.
You get in American films and they're speaking with an American accent. It's like, surely.
They do amazingly well. Can you do that? Can you do that?
No.
Give us. Can you try? No, please.
No, I'm not
because look, Walking Dead is one of our family favorite shows.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like when you watch them get interviewed, it's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You do that so well. You do the American accent so well that I couldn't tell.
I couldn't do it. Trust
Please,
me.
just give it a shot.
It's deeply
John,
offensive
a shot.
to all the
A
listeners.
shot.
I can't even
You know the thing
do
that
it.
I'm actually I was fascinated with myself. First off, my pet peeve is people who speak with a lazy way. I guess.
Are you talking about me?
No. I just
Because I mumble.
well, I just think words are important. I can't stand it when people do like the text talking and things. It irritates me
Right.
and not use proper English. But the other thing that amazes me, all the Brits that I've ever met personally,
Right.
or if I've watched documentaries and they're being interviewed or whatever, they know so much more about our own history than our own people do.
Right.
Like they're so well educated on the historical, just the world history on who did this, who conquered that, what the.
Right.
And,
I-
go ahead.
You're right, but I think it's like there's certain areas of history that we're taught, but there's certain other areas.
Right.
Right.
And the whole
Well, that goes for.
You don't know anything about the Alamo, in other words.
no.
But you know that we're traitors.
Right.
Yeah, there you
The
go.
United States
We
people
were
are
taught.
traitors.
We were told that what happened with the Brits is that because we were so busy, we gave the
Right.
country back to you.
Is that what it was?
No.
What do you?
We were told-
Let me ask you this. What do you guys
We
think
were
about
told
Paul
very
Revere?
little.
Paul Revere. What do you know about him?
No idea.
The guy that told us that you were coming.
Yeah, right?
The redcoats are coming. Right?
You're
So,
coming.
what do you think about Paul Revere?
specialize in history, so I had I did go to school.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah. So
With Pink
up to-
Floyd.
So up to we call it secondary school.
Right.
So up to 16, I got the standard history curriculum.
Okay.
That's what you get.
Right.
And there was very, very little about American history
Really?
in there. It may have jumped to kind of Kennedy, maybe,
Yeah.
but all the bits before,
Yeah.
kind of,
Don't worry. That's our
yeah.
history too.
Yeah,
We talk about Kennedy a lot. You can talk about the first president, the 16th president, Kennedy. Past that,
Yeah.
right.
we don't know them all.
Right. No,
It's just-
so it's
We don't even. I don't
interesting.
even know the other numbers. I only know 1 in 16.
I just think it's interesting though that all the ones I've spoken to, they know more about history, and especially some of them know more about our history than just the average everyday American walking around. It's just I always wondered why that was. Like,
Right.
do they put more of an emphasis on
I think
educating
there may
history
be
over there?
more of an emphasis on the history.
Very interesting. Because I
yeah.
even myself, I mean, I know basic parts, and some of it I pay more attention than others. But I just know that I've heard interviews in documentaries or something like that where they're just talking to random off the street and they were just having conversations. And some of the stuff that they're coming up with, I live here, and even I was like, I didn't know that. Like, wow, how do they know more about our history than we do? It was kind of interesting. But
They're still
I
waiting to
don't
take
know
that
whether
next
culturally-
shot.
Yeah, exactly.
There you
We're
go.
coming back slowly.
You're trying to come back.
Yes,
The music, hey, musically, you guys have it down, man. I love it.
right?
That whole British invasion in the 60s and 70s, that was
Yeah, although if you look at, I mean, really, what the Rolling Stones were like a blues covers band, really.
Yeah.
Before they started,
That's
and
what's-
then they sold it.
they did
back
our
to-
music better.
Well, I
All
think
that was
the
American
whole-
music. Led Zeppelin did the same thing.
Yeah. But with the Stones, I mean, they loved a lot of the
Right.
blues artists.
Yep.
And once again, it's a cultural how it's accepted that suddenly, you get these white guys from Britain coming and playing, and suddenly it's all over the radio stations.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of that.
What about recovery over there? What about treatment and stuff like that? Do
I
you
would
guys have
say-
the same kind of issues that we have as far as treatment
I
centers?
would
And
say nowhere near. It's nowhere near as advanced.
Really?
So the amount of programs out there, way less.
Hmm.
Some of that obviously plays into the National Health Service because it's you've got the single payer thing.
Right.
But yeah, whether the insurance industry here and the way that healthcare facilities can access insurance means it's a broader thing because the National Health Service is probably, I would say on that, it's probably as far as behavioural health and addiction, it's probably not as advanced actually. It's my view in that people with addiction problems go to AA.
That's it.
Well, there's stuff there, and since I've been out of the country now for like 10 years.
Right.
Which is why I thought I lost my accent.
Yeah. I barely even knew that you were British.
Right, thank you.
Yeah.
So, but no, basically, so I think things have progressed as the problems progress. But the other thing that hasn't played in there as much is with the opiate crisis, because of the way, basically, doctors there, that statistic that's constantly quoted about 5% of the population consuming 80% of prescription drugs.
Right.
That is one aspect that is very different. If you go to the doctor, you're unlikely, the painkillers are not dished out.
Really?
Nowhere near.
So what is the drug of choice there, or the drug of most problem, the one that's causing the most problem right there now? Do you know?
I would say it's alcohol.
Alcohol.
Huge. And culturally, I mean, every village, no matter the
Right.
size, it doesn't need to have a supermarket. It's going to
They
have
have
a
a
pub.
pub.
And the culture around that is big. But the heroin problem is big.
Is it?
But it's that kind of path from prescription pills.
Right.
Which is
Yeah.
so
Exactly.
readily
Okay.
available.
I
So
hear what you're
that's
saying.
not
Because
so
heroin's
obvious.
always been big there.
Yes.
But what you're saying is the route to heroin is different.
Yes.
Our route to heroin has been through physicians.
Yes.
Your route to heroin is
Yeah.
still the way it always was,
So I
which
think-
is that underground
Yes.
scene.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so you probably have
Right.
a less of a problem because you've had less people
Right.
finding their way into addiction
Right.
through that.
Right.
Go to the doctor, have a back surgery.
Right.
And
Because pharmaceuticals have always been big there too, though, differently.
Yes.
The ecstasy did not disappear there the way it disappeared here.
No.
You guys still
yeah,
had
the,
it.
The kind of underground drug scene
Right.
and through the cultural
Right.
music scene,
Right.
and club scene, it's definitely and it's still a big big.
The
thing.
angst there, or the rebellion there, has always stayed strong. Where we go through these ups and downs of rebellion,
Right.
where
Right.
it seems like in Europe, the angst, the ones that are angry, are the ones that feel not part of.
Right.
That scene has stayed strong throughout, right? I mean,
Right.
that culture has always had its foothold,
Right.
especially in the music scene,
Yes.
and the party. I think that's why some of that music is so powerful when it comes here. When we hear it, we're like, because when we're in bad moods or when we're having
Right.
difficulties, we relate so
But
well
it's
to it.
kind of uncompromising in its message. that
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the,
Yeah.
So, but no, definitely that's one of the biggest things is that if you go to your doctor, and it seems hopefully here now, that's being addressed
Right,
about how
right.
freely doctors are giving out opiates. But it's like if you go to your doctor, if you have my father-in-law here, my uncle in the UK, they happen to both have a hernia operation, and they're like, well, at the time, like 65.
Right.
Same operation, it happened to happen at the same time. Now, in the UK, my uncle had the operation, so he went under general anaesthetic, and then basically was in the hospital for a day, then told, if you get any discomfort, take the equivalent to an Aleve.
Wow.
That was it. Whereas my father-in-law, before the operation was done, he had a month's subscription.
Probably like 60 painkillers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that's was a very stark kind of comparison. Same operation.
Right.
So
Wow.
We're running a little short on time now, but I wanted you to touch a little bit on that single payer system because we're very confused right now
Right.
in our system,
right.
and a lot of times people here will compare to other parts of
Right.
the world, and say, well, look how it's working there. We should have that
Right.
same kind of
Right.
system. How does the single payer system? What are the positives that we should
Right.
think about for that for us
I think
in this
it's-
space?
Well, no system is going to be perfect.
Right.
I think it faces the fundamental aging population, people living longer, but costing more to keep alive through wonderful technology.
Mhm.
But that's a fact that everyone's trying to deal with, and every system is trying to
Sure.
address. However, with a single payer system, as a rule, it's served everyone that I know, and I've had family and friends that have been through different stages of health crises. It's served them very well.
Okay.
And what it amounts to there, I think it's like basically a 5% tax on everyone. Now, for me, I can see, and that's been since the Second World War, I think it
Right.
was. 1930.
Right.
That's when it started. So it's not. It's almost like there's debates around the service, but the debate about whether we have this or not, it's not really there. Some things are changing slightly.
Right.
So it's a given
Right.
that when you get your first paycheck, you're going to pay that amount on top of the regular tax, and that goes to your state pension and covers your
State pension. Explain that. What do you mean state pension?
There's a state pension there, so you get a.
Is that like our Social Security?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So but there's this 5 or 6% that you pay on top of the regular tax bracket.
Okay.
It just goes there, and it's not now. I'm sure if they tried to introduce that there now, it'd be an uproar. Which I think is the problem here. Is fundamentally you've got that hasn't happened, and here it's weird. I mean, taxes is a really dirty word.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think that.
It's a very political word here.
Yes.
People use it politically.
Yes.
And we don't like it. We don't like being forced to do anything.
Right.
So anytime and that's what taxes sound like.
Right.
I'm forcing you to pay something. It's almost like it's cooler now, or it's more acceptable now to give people something they may not. Well, how do I put this? They don't deserve any other way other than by living.
Right.
We just want to give things.
Yes.
To people. We feel like because you're alive, you deserve.
Right.
Now, I'm not so sure that's how we started as America. I'm not really sure that's how it began. I think we were a very hungry people. Right. They came here to want to. We didn't want to be given anything. We wanted to create our own, and we didn't want any limits on what we create.
Right.
We didn't want to have to pay you or anyone else just because we created something.
Right.
But now it seems like we're a society. We're going to more of a handout society where. As even though we borrow a lot of money from China and other countries, we're all about giving to everyone else who doesn't have. Right. So it's almost like we borrow to lend out.
Right.
And we do the same thing within our own political system, it seems like. Right. So in our healthcare, would you say, like, what are the complaints that you guys have about that single payer? Like, what are the complaints that the Brits have?
There are definitely some, although not, I see, things are exaggerated all the time to suit the political argument.
Right.
Now, definitely you can wait for certain treatment. Once you're in, so for instance, all healthcare is accessed by your family doctor. So if you've any problem, you go to your doctor. Normally, when I was there, like 1 or 2 days, you could see a doctor.
Right.
And then he would maybe have to refer you to a specialist. And so that's when the delay can, I've had very close family people who've gone through cancer and stuff. And the treatment they get has been fantastic. Okay. Once you get access to this, it seems like once you see so it's the delays in between the gaps in the system of when you're being referred, there can be bigger delays, which can absolutely be a problem. Right. But once you get that, and obviously depending on what your condition is, can be. And I don't think if it's an emergency situation, they're not going to turn you away or say, well, So it's not perfect, and. A lot of the hospitals there are struggling because of the funding. And the other side...
Yeah, ours don't struggle for funding.
Right. Yeah. Well, the other side is this. The emphasis on there when you see a doctor is that absolutely, he knows he's got to spend as little as possible. Mm. Now, I think there's two sides to that.
Right.
He does what's necessary. Right. As much as needed, as little as necessary. But then where's that line? And that's, I think, the fear is that you're not going to get that extra test that could possibly discover this because you're not going to know unless you have that test.
Yeah. Plus, where's the benefit of succeeding? And when I talk about success, I'm talking financial success. Right. In other words, we do like that. We do like the us and them approach. A lot of Americans, whether we like it or not, whether we believe it or not, once you've received some sort of level of financial success, you want better benefits. Right. You just want better things. Right. I mean, the normal, average, everyday person who is financially successful doesn't want to drive the same car when they're financially successful as they drove when they were struggling and building their business. Right. It's just not the way we operate. Our drive is derived a lot from being less than financially. Right. So I want better. I want more. Right. So, most of our society doesn't have it. So there's a great deal of prejudice or problem with those. Right.
There is a small private insurance, or it's not that small. But
okay.
I understand it.
Okay.
It kind of sits on top. So if you
So you could pay into that.
you could pay.
Oh, well, there you go. That's the
8%,
result.
and that, as I actually heard it on NPR this morning, 8%.
Instead of 5.
8% of the UK
Oh.
pay for
Okay.
and choose
Right.
to pay for their insurance. Now they are still making the contribution to everyone else's as well.
Yeah.
So, but
See,
they can pay.
I think they should be able to do that because they're the ones that provide us a lot of the lifestyle that we have that we don't even know they provide.
Right.
That top 2%
Right.
of wealth, they pay for so much stuff that we don't even know about.
Right.
We may be jealous of them a lot. We may
Right.
have issues with them feeling like they're getting away with. No, they pay a lot of money to a lot of systems and a lot of things that we don't know about. So
Right.
I've learned to appreciate them
Right.
and to appreciate the wealthy for what they do.
Right.
And just ask that they maybe contribute and maybe let us know what their contributions are so that we can accept it a little bit more.
Right.
That's what I think. I think there just needs to be more discovery on what they actually do. And we don't get a lot of that. We don't get a lot of knowledge of what they contribute to.
Right.
All we know is what we want. And when we don't have it, like right now, some of us want, like if your house is leaking right now and you can't afford to put a tarp on your house right now, that's when it's easy to be frustrated with the system and say, well, I need right now. Right? And so we just need to be conscious that if you have right now, maybe step outside of your little box right now. Maybe help somebody, one of your neighbors, get that tarp up. Or pay for that tarp. And get it up, because that is the American way. The American way is we respond very well in these kinds of crises. Your neighbor will help you cover your stuff up right now. So reach out to them. So anyway, thank you very much, John. We got to go. We're running out of time. So actually, we're over time. But I wanted you to be able to talk about that because we're very confused with our healthcare system right now. We're very confused. And none of us, I mean, at least me for one, I don't know where to go with it. I don't know what to vote for. I don't know if Bernie Sanders is right. I don't know if the Democrats are right. I don't know if the Republicans are right. All I know is it's real difficult right now when I want to help some of you people, or when Trinity, as the president of the Now Matters More Foundation, wants to help some of you people, and we see what kind of insurance coverage you do have, and we see that you have this real high deductible. We don't know, who's going to give us a better plan other than we still want to help you out. So if you have any kind of insurance whatsoever, still give a call to the Now Matters More Foundation, and they can probably help you with your deductible. They can probably help you find the right treatment center. Well, I know that we can help you find the right treatment center. So to go to nowmattersmore.org if you'd like to donate to that, or if you need any help at all in doing that. Of course, you can always contact Retreat Premier Addiction Treatment Centers. You can find them directly from our website on nowmattersmore.org. So if you want to reach out to John, you don't even have to give out your information. You go to nowmattersmore.org. John's phone number's there. You didn't know that? Your direct phone number's on there. You can call John directly from nowmattersmore.org. Just go to the resources page. Trinity, any last words?
I think there's actually a link on WPSN99.com as well.
Okay, so go to WPSN99.com, which you should be listening to anyway. But if you're watching this on Facebook, you're not. So anyway, thank you from anybody else. Do we have any last words, Trinity?
No, just
any birthdays or anything? Dana's birthday. Dana's birthday this weekend, and since the recovery walk was canceled, I wore the shirt from the recovery walk, even though it got canceled.
Angel's birthday's on the 20th.
So Dana and Angel, both our women's birthdays.
Yes.
All right.
My brother on the 24th.
And your brother on the 24th. All right. What's his name?
Tommy.
Tommy. Happy birthday, Tommy. So from all of us here on the Couch Live, adios amigos. It's time for a taco. Goodbye.